we begin this evening, I'd like to remind everyone to please silence your cell phones. Council meetings are live streamed and they are on the city's YouTube channel. I now call the May 20th, 2025 regular council meeting to order. All council members are present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please read the consent minute approval titles.
Approving the minutes of the May 6, 2025 regular council meeting and the May 6, 2025 executive session.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action items just read.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Pollock, seconded by Councilor Haskins. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Times we can hit yes. Several times over and over and harder.
Just like Dylan, isn't it?
That is quite lovely. Very relaxing. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Chair would entertain a motion to approve by minute action the May 20th, 2025 bills and claims as audited by City Manager Napier. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Bond. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve by minute action the May 20th, 2025 conflict claim as audited by City Manager Napier.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Pollock, seconded by Councilor Haskins. Any abstentions? I would like to abstain. Any others? Okay, please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
Mayor Pacheco,
Oh,
were you
geez
abstaining?
Louise, I just said it. I've never had to abstain. Please record the vote.
With Mayor Pacheco abstaining and all others voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you so much. Tonight, we would like to welcome Tim Hoff, Ryan McCormick, and other members of the Casper Community Tennis Association to the meeting tonight to discuss Tennis Month. If you would please come forward.
Hello.
Hello.
They are not here. Someone else was supposed to be here instead.
No worries. We'll welcome.
I'm Tim Anday, and on behalf of the tennis Casper Community.
Can I have you step a little closer to the microphone? There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Tim Anday, and I'm here for the Casper Community Tennis Association accepting proclamation.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything you'd like to tell us a little bit about the Tennis Month?
Well, we love it's in May. It's the summer kickoff. For those of you that don't already know, tennis is the most fun sport that there is. And it's the best of the lifetime sports. Love it. We are so grateful to the city and the school district for the coordination of the latest project at Highlands. It's fantastic. We love it. And if you have forgotten, while you involved with things with the kids, it is a sport that if your children are in, they are less likely to get in trouble. They get better grades. It's an awesome sport. So anyway, thank you very much. We accept the proclamation and
Awesome.
are grateful.
So you can either join me up here or I can read the proclamation from here. Want to come on up?
Nope.
Okay. So, whereas the USTA, founded on May 21st, 1881 in New York City, New York, is the non-profit national governing body for tennis in the United States and leads a promotion and growth of the sport at every level of play, from beginners to professionals at the US Open. Whereas the USTA, which has over 550,000 members across the country, proudly partners with local tennis programs such as those offered in the city of Casper, Natrona County School District, and the Casper Community Tennis Association to showcase the important health, social, and educational benefits of tennis and make the sport available to everyone regardless of age, environment, conditions, or ability. Whereas the latest research for the Physical Activity Council shows that more than 25.7 million Americans played tennis in 2024, an unprecedented 46% increase in participation over 2019 and the highest number of players since the PAC study began in 2007. Whereas by increasing the accessibility of tennis for citizens of Casper of all ages and ability through the construction of tennis facilities like the Casper Tennis Complex, Washington Park tennis courts, as well as development and the implementation of tennis programming, the USTA, City of Casper, NCSD, and CCTA have contributed for making our community a happier and healthier place. Now, therefore, I, Ray Pacheco, the mayor of the city of Casper, Wyoming, join the USTA in its annual designation and do hereby proclaim May 2025 as National Tennis Month. And I encourage players, organizations, facilities, retailers, and more to promote local programs and activities at parks and facilities throughout Casper to showcase tennis and spread the word about the sport and its benefits, and to help players and non-players alike find courts and play opportunities in our community. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of Casper, Wyoming to be affixed this 20th day of May 2025. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Now is the time where we invite anyone in the audience who wishes to speak with the council to come forward. This is the portion of the meeting which is dedicated to the public to allow them time to discuss matters of public interest and to voice their concerns. We do ask that you please state your name, direct all your questions and comments to the mayor. No personal obscenities or threats will be tolerated. Council will not respond to personnel matters. These will be referred to our city manager. Councilors may ask clarifying questions, but if they choose to respond to any of the questions or conversations that come up, this is going to be during our scheduled council response time following communications from persons present. Presentations will be limited to 5 minutes and no time extensions will be permitted. And please note that public hearings and ordinance have their own separate comment periods. Thank you. Mr. Schriftman.
Mayor, good evening, everybody. I just have a few items. First of all, a couple of years ago, council set aside $3 million for the second sheet of ice at the ice arena. And of course, last year, the voters did not approve that. And the money is being held in anticipation of I believe it's the ice hockey club that is trying to raise money for that project. I think at one of your last meetings, you talked about that this is being reviewed right now. There should be a hard deadline of when, if they can't raise the money, that the money reverts back to the city. Also at I think it was the last meeting, there was a discussion about a group of people raising some money for a lift at Hugadon. And there was some suggestion, not a proposal, but a suggestion that maybe the city should set some money aside for that. My concern is, and I've talked to people that have a long history, that sometimes they vote something down and then somehow the money gets funded even after the voters disapproved it. So that's some concern there. Secondly, there was a discussion last time about the Marion Kreiner improvements, very needed improvements, and how to notify the neighbors. I have a simple, low-cost concept that you may want to consider. And that is, there's probably about 700 or 800 houses in there in that neighborhood. And there's 3 members of council. Maybe just print up some flyers and go door to door. And I'd be glad to help with that too. It's a way to notify the public and also find out a little bit more what the people down there are thinking about. And that way, that could save some money to the city of maybe mailing something out. Speaking of public outreach, priority-based budget public outreach survey, I looked that over. I have some concerns there. The wording should be neutral. Just give you some examples of some of the wording. Make sure there are strong systems to provide clean water. Help people in the community stay healthy in body and mind. Build neighborhoods where people can live, work, and play. Build trust and bring people together. So that wording is not neutral. It could be neutral. The other thing was encouraging the employees to participate. That's fine. But if the survey ends up being 100 people and 70 are staff members of the city, that's not going to give you the information that you really need. A better way, I would say, is to ask just one question. There was discussion that the survey is too long. I looked at it and I had some problems trying to address it. And I looked at the website, I couldn't find it. So maybe it's not posted yet. But the one question, the way I would do it is list the top items that the city does. Let's say the 10 most important items that the city is involved in, and then ask people to rate them from 1 to 10. That way, I think you get a better feel of what people are thinking of whether you're spending the money where the people want to have it spent. So those are my suggestions. So if there's an answer to what's going on with the ice arena and the funds that are being held for that, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Any clarifying questions for Mr. Schriftman? Yeah, go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Schriftman. You've brought up a couple times now concern about continued progress towards finding funding for some of the failed ballot initiatives on the 6th cent. Is it your position that if something fails at the ballot, we should discontinue efforts to achieve those projects?
No, not necessarily, but you need more public feedback. Excuse me, Mayor, Council member. You need more feedback because I have heard from people that, you know, they definitely didn't want something and then somehow it happened. And so that's a concern. It's just something that you need to be considering when you do put it on a ballot. And again, last year, my view was to have one question and council would pick what the priority items are. But the decision was, let's see what the people want to do. And obviously, some of those projects, they didn't want to fund, at least with the 6%.
Any others? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Hello, Dakota. It's good to see you again.
Hello there. I am Dakota Kemmer. It has been a while since I have seen you all. Some new faces. But, so I wanted to ask, I hope that all of us are aware that we are number 4 on the suicide list. That being said, 2023, there was a statistic that 157 suicides in Wyoming. 133 of them were men. Now, last week I found out, as some of y'all know my situation with my daughter, that she was taken from me. Found out that before Judge Christensen was retired, he had approved the protection order for an extension of another 3 years. Now, I spent 46 days in jail. I woke up with a broken nose. I was beaten and raped in my sleep. Just for the district attorney who's no longer in that office to tell me that they know I'm innocent, but their hands are tied. Now, if we're aware that 133 men in 2023 committed suicide, I'm asking, what are we doing to fix this situation? Because my fiance gets to lie about abuse, and I'm struggling to stay alive daily, fighting every day. Why I should even keep going. I was hopeful at the beginning of this year that I would see my daughter again. Just to find out it was extended for another 3 years. Now, I don't know if any of you have lost your kids or have gone through anything like that. But that's all I've wanted since 10, and I'm trying to keep it calm. I'm a board member for Community Action now. I'm doing everything that I am supposed to be doing. I did not receive this letter in November, and I have it right here. I picked it up today to find out that it was made in October of 2024. I would like us to, possibly communicate about things for men that protect them. Because how many of us have to die continuing before something gives? I hope that's not offensive or unjust or unfair to say, but I'm still struggling to this day after losing her. I got a 2-bedroom house. I made the room for her, had everything just to know. And I'm not saying this just for me. I want all men in the state of Wyoming to have protection. We have the, I see pictures of it, Care for Wyoming, or the women's CNA classes. I will be bringing it up this next meeting with my board. I already brought it up. But there are a bunch of things to help women, but nothing to help us. There was no custody, nothing. I literally said that I was done taking abuse in my home, so my daughter wouldn't talk to me like that when she gets older. And this is what I get. All they have to do is lie. There was no investigation, no due process, nothing. Where does that go from here? I appreciate you all. And I wanted to let you know, Ray, thank you for putting my name out. I appreciate you too. But thank you, councilor members.
Anybody have any clarifying questions for Dakota? Okay. Thanks, Dakota. Appreciate it. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Anybody else? Okay. So now we go into council response for public comment. Does anybody have any comments to make before I was going to ask the city manager about the ice arena, the one that questioned that Mr. Schriftman had? But whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So I did bring up about a Hoganon in the lift. And I still think it's appropriate. If we don't continue to lift our community up, that one lost by, I can't remember if it was 100 and some votes. That one was fairly close. So I still believe that. With the second sheet of ice, I think council has made an agreement to wait and give them time until the end of the year. I think a deal is a deal in Wyoming. It's one of the first things I learned coming here, that once you shake on something, that should be your word. And not necessarily, I came from Western Pennsylvania, but that maybe wasn't the case in Pennsylvania, but it is here. So I'm in favor of leaving that in place and giving them the time that they need with that setback. So on the second sheet of ice. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Pollock.
Thank you. Just a couple points to respond to. So in the number of times that kind of the notion has been raised that because the 4 projects failed at the ballot, there's concern that we are continuing to work on them. I think for me, if the council is going to take that position, or the community is going to take that position, that if it's failed, it means that nobody wanted it to happen. We could never put anything of consequence on the ballot, because we would have to then accept that it won't happen at all. I think that we put projects on the ballot that were important enough to go on the ballot, in which case voters did say they did not want to pay 6 cents in order to achieve those projects. But I think, if our philosophy is that failed ballots initiatives are dead forever, then that's not a viable mechanism to fund anything, because we could not risk then putting any project that was needed in the community onto the ballot. So I think we can't take that position. I hope the community can understand the flaw in that position. I think that getting additional feedback is fine and all well and good, and we have meetings weekly where people can give that feedback. But I think that it's a flawed line of thinking to say that failed ballot initiatives, we should just give up and not continue to work on them. So I don't think people should be surprised that there are still efforts underway to find new mechanisms to fund these things. We could have funded them more quickly had the 6 cent passed on those projects. We could have gotten them underway potentially more quickly. But I think the fact that it didn't pass, I don't think that means that the projects aren't needed and aren't important to our community. And so that then to me was a message. All right, well, we'll take it back to the drawing board and figure out how do we get this done, if not through the 6 cents. So that's my position on it. I continue to hear some sort of rumblings that people think these things, should just be gone and off our docket. And I just think if that's the sentiment, then we could only put extremely frivolous and unnecessary projects on the ballot from here on out. So it doesn't make any sense to me. And then additionally, in the language of the survey, I don't know that it should be neutral language, because we're using the language or a proximity of the language of our priorities. Our priorities are not neutral, they're aspirational, and they are, kind of laying out a vision. And so I think what we're asking is, does the community share that vision, and how would they rank the various elements of the vision that we have laid out? And so to me, it's more of a visionary and philosophical document and less of a scientific exercise. And so I don't know how we take the language of our priorities and make them truly neutral and then map them back to our priorities. I think what we've put forward is the literal, here are the priorities, what do you think? So I think I disagree on that estimation as well. And I think that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, Vice Mayor.
I just kind of want to echo what both Pat and Amber have said. The hard deadline on the sheet of ice, we've talked about that 100 times, and Ross continues to bring it up. It's the end of the year. We're not going to pull it out from under their feet when they are so close to reaching their goal. So that's just a non-starter for me to break your word like that. And as far as the survey, yeah, how do you make a survey about what our priorities are neutral? It doesn't work. We're looking for feedback on what our priorities are, and our priorities are not neutral. They are important, and we want to make sure that the city agrees with what our priorities are. So, and I'm sad that Dakota left. I just wanted to give Dakota a little encouragement. I have a nephew that went through a very similar thing, and it is rough. And it took a lot of courage for him to come in here and talk to us. And that's one of the reasons that mental health is on our radar and has been on my radar for many years. So let him know that he was heard, and I, for one, will do what I can to help him with that goal of his to get help from men. That's all.
Councillor Haskins.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Schriftman, I just had a couple of things. Wording complaints aside, last week would have been very helpful, but obviously now, even if we did agree with you on some changes, it's too late. We can't change it now, or then the survey results would be completely irrelevant. In regards to it being on the website, while it might not be easy to find on the website, it is the first post on City of Casper's Facebook page, and you do not have to have a Facebook account to pull it up. I just clicked on it just to see. And in regards to that, the third question on our survey asks if you're employed, and it specifies if you're employed by the government. Our city staff lives here, so their input also counts. And as one of the people on the committee that will be reviewing these results, I promise you I'm smart enough to know if 75% is city staff, maybe I should take that into consideration. So you have no concerns there. I just wanted to make sure you know the people that are looking at this are going to actually read those results, and that is one of the questions. And yes, we do care what the people who, one, took the time to do the survey, two, are actively involved because they work here, and three, they live here. So their opinions matter just as much as the rest. That said, keep bringing up the survey because we do want more than 100 responses. So thank you.
Anybody else? Yep. Councillor Gamera.
Thank you, Mayor. I think Councillor Pollack did a great job kind of describing my philosophical attitude towards the failed 6-cent ballot initiatives. I don't think that just because they necessarily failed at the ballot, that reflects tacit, disapproval on the part of the people that voted against, that they don't want to see the project happening ever, just that they didn't necessarily support additional taxation to make it happen. So I'm glad you brought up that point. On the topic of the web page, though, it is on the city website, albeit it is slightly hard to find. It's under the government tab at the top of the browser window, and then city council and manager, and then council documents, I believe, and then you get there. So it is a little Russian nesting doll in there, and so on the, in order to spur and incentivize more people taking the survey, I do wonder if there would be an ability on the part of our IT staff to maybe make it more prominent on the city website. As Councillor Haskins brought up, I would strongly encourage anyone to follow the City of Casper Facebook page, because all of this information and other very helpful, useful, educational information can be found there. They do a really good job sharing information through our social channels, but I do wonder if we could make it more prominent on the website, because it is tucked in there a little bit. So if we could have some sort of banner on the homepage or something, I would like to see that, because again, I want to see as much participation with the survey as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Councillor Bond.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of, first of all, I want to agree with and echo what has been said before by my colleagues, both about the survey and about the 6-cent question. The only thing I would add about the survey is that I believe there's plenty of room in the survey for folks to add comments. So if they have additional priorities that they feel falls within those priorities or specifics that they would like to see added, I believe there's space for them to comment in the survey and enter that, which again, as Councillor Haskins mentioned, we will look at those comments, we will look at the survey results and take all that into consideration. So I think that's pretty well taken care of. There was a question, I don't know if maybe on social media about why we were asking for the address. And I don't know if that's, I mean, I think we explained that during our initial dialogue about the survey, but I think it's interesting to know that the reason that that question is in there about address is to ensure, or at least get the sense of city residents, knowing that, you know, people outside the boundaries of the city limits may indeed take the survey, which is fine. I don't know that their voice would be discounted, but the city, we represent the city residents. And so I think that's important to note for the public. That's why it's not Big Brother watching or anything. We want those results to be reflective of city residents. And I think, and again, as the Vice Mayor said, I'm sorry to see that Dakota left. I just wanted to say how much of an impact his comments had, and to hopefully, I just hope we can reach out to him and, you know, let him know that there are folks working on that, and that he was heard, I think. So if we,
He called me the other day, so I was going to reach out to him.
Great.
So I'll pass that along.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor.
You bet. Anybody else? Carter, could you go ahead and answer Mr. Schriftman's question about the funding that we have set aside, rather?
Mayor, you betcha. The amount is actually $3.2 million. And I believe the speaker is correct that it's been about 2 years since it's been in place. The deadline, as I understand it, is hard set, if you will, for the end of the calendar year. The user groups, of which there are more than one, are pursuing these funding alternatives, and they are fully aware that that is the date. The only other point that I would add is that as of right now, we have 327 responses to the survey. So we've far eclipsed the 100 level concern.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate that update. All right, anybody else before I move on? Okay. Thank you everyone who came up, and appreciate it. Please read the consent agenda title.
Establish June 3rd, 2025 as the public hearing date for consideration of an ordinance vacating Stone Ridge Addition Block 1 Lot Park as dedicated public parkland.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to, by minute action, establish the public hearing date just read. Second. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Bond. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of an ordinance approving a zone change for lots 30 and 31 in the South Garden Creek Acres number 2 addition subdivision. Mr. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
Thank you, Mayor. I do. Exhibit number 1, correspondence from Liz Becker to J. Carter Napier dated May 16th, 2025. Exhibit number 2, Casper Star Tribune affidavit of publication dated May 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, do you have a report?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you. As your exhibit indicates, this is in the area of South Poplar Street, adjacent to the Yesness area as well. The subject property is approximately 1.5 acres in size and currently has a lot line that runs east to west in the center of the 2 properties being discussed here. With the residents essentially straddling that line. The basic idea is that a reconfiguration of this would allow for the redrawing of that line so that indeed it would be more of a north and south property dividing line, thereby correcting the straddling of the current property line, and allowing for a use of the property that would be created on the west side of the area. The current regulation stipulates a minimum of 1 acre in size. Therefore, the new residential estate classification if council approves, would allow for a little more flexibility in terms of how that property, that subject area could be used. One last note, the proposal is consistent with applications, zoning applications in the area. And therefore, the Planning Commission did adopt or did support the recommendation that you have in front of you today.
Thank you. Council will now listen to public comment. Public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers will be allowed. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of the ordinance to please approach the lectern. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor of this? Good evening.
My name's Cody Klein. Me and my wife are the ones who purchased the property and would like to subdivide. Build a home on the empty part of the parcel on. A little bit of a backstory. My father actually owned the property to the north on Yesness, and so when this property became available, it felt right for me and my wife to purchase it with the ability to build a home next to where my dad built his.
Very cool. Any questions? Great. Thank you so much, and thank you for the story. Appreciate that. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? Okay, at this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition of the ordinance to please approach the lectern. Those who wish to speak in opposition. Okay, there being no others to speak for or against the ordinance, I now declare the public hearing closed. Please read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance approving a zone change for lots 30 to 31 South Garden Creek Acres Number 2 Addition subdivision in the city of Casper, Wyoming.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve on first reading the ordinance just read.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Pollock, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion from council? Okay, any amendments? Okay, please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of a resolution for budget amendment number 3. Mr. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
Thank you, Mayor. I do. Exhibit number 1, correspondence from Jill Johnson to J. Carter Napier dated May 14th, 2025. Exhibit number 2, Casper Star Tribune affidavit of publication dated May 8th, 2025.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, do you have a report?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you, councilors. You have the opportunity to consider the final amendment of the current fiscal year. And as you know, the final amendment typically is ordained for the purpose of tying up any expenditure authority that, having been through the majority of the fiscal year by now, remains to be unresolved. Also, however, this amendment is put together for the purpose of recognizing projects that council has given the green light for, the biggest of which would be with regard to the infrastructure aspect of the new pedestrian bridge adjacent to Poplar and First Street, wherein, as council is aware, this would be the opportunity for us to hang some infrastructure that is in need of replacement and realignment up under that bridge, which is grant funded. We discussed during the work session the issues relating to the Risk Management Fund and wildland fire. One of the other things that this amendment addresses is that of tying out the authorization that council gave back in January to incorporate raises as a result of the grave study that came forward at about that time. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Council will now listen to public comment. Public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers are allowed. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of the resolution to please approach the lectern. Those who wish to speak in favor. Okay, at this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition of the resolution to please approach the lectern. Hello again.
Hello again. I'm in favor of most of it, especially the compensation. I looked at the grave study. They did an excellent job, and I appreciate the staff and all that they do. My concern has to do with the first item. Originally, it was a $3.5 million federal grant under the American Rescue Plan Act. Now, we all know we pay income tax. We don't pay income tax in Wyoming, but we pay income tax to the federal government. So that's our money coming back to us. I'm a runner, as everybody knows, and I had asked about this before. I'm not sure why the location. I now have the map of the location, which is just to the east of Poplar Vehicle Bridge. And I'm just wondering, there's other avenues, and for instance, First Street has a sidewalk right along. When you go over the bridge, you're on the north side, goes behind Jonah Bank, the trail. I think it's accessible for the Americans for Disability Act. The other thing, back when they were talking about fixing Poplar Street Bridge, that turned out not to be the project that the state was doing. They widened the road to 2 lanes in each direction, and there's sidewalks on either side. I hardly ever see anybody walking on there. I don't know why they put sidewalks on both sides. Now, with this amendment, you're going to be approving a $2 million transfer from the water fund balance. I'm not sure what that means, but they're removing infrastructure from the YDOT bridge. So I guess that's what it's for. I want to know more about it. I don't know all the ins and outs. I do have some information that the staff has sent me, and I'm looking at that. And then there's this $550,000 transportation alternatives grant from the state, and it says ADA accessible overlook space. So the total is now a little over $6 million for a pedestrian bridge. Half a mile west is the bridge at Tate Pump House, which is used a lot. And I'm just not sure that how many people are going to be using this bridge and where they're going from, because if you live in town, you can go up First Street and over the bridge. So that's my concerns.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Sherman.
you.
Any others who wish to speak in opposition? Okay, there being no others to speak for or against the resolution, I now declare the public hearing closed. Please read the resolution by title only.
Amending the current budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025, third amendment to the original adopted budget.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the resolutions just read. Moved by Councilor Sweeney, seconded by Councilor Pollock. Discussion. Any amendments? Okay, please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the ordinance on second reading by title only.
An ordinance repealing ordinance number 24-20 and amending chapter 8.04 of the Casper Municipal Code regarding businesses affecting public health.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve on second reading the ordinance just read. Moved by Councilor Haskins, seconded by Councilor Sweeney. Council will now listen to public comment. Anybody wish to make a comment on this? All right, any discussion from the council? Any amendments? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the ordinance on second reading by title only.
An ordinance approving a zone change for Lot 1 Tri-View Addition subdivision in the city of Casper, Wyoming.
Chair would entertain a motion to approve on second reading the ordinance just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Haskins. Council will now listen to public comment. Anybody wish to speak to the council on the second reading on this? Any discussion from council? Any amendments? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the ordinance on second reading by title only.
An ordinance ratifying all actions previously taken concerning City of Casper, Wyoming, Local Assessment District Number 159, confirming the proceedings, assessment roll, and assessment therefore, assessing the amounts in said roll on the property in said district, creating a lien therefore and prescribing the priority therefore, directing the certification of said roll by the city clerk and transmittal thereof to the city treasurer, prescribing notice that said assessment shall be paid and the terms thereof, providing for the payment of said assessment, creating a special and a separate fund therefore, providing for the collection of delinquent assessments, and prescribing various details concerning said provisions.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve on second reading the ordinance just read. Moved by Councilor Pollock, seconded by Councilor Bond. Council will now listen to public comment. Anybody wish to speak on the second reading of this ordinance? Any discussion from council? Any amendments? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the ordinance on second reading by title only.
An ordinance creating City of Casper, Wyoming Local Assessment District Number 161, hereinafter called the district, ordering the construction of improvements therein, describing the same, directing the preparation of plans and specifications therefore, providing for the publication of notice to contractors, fixing the boundaries of said district, ratifying action previously taken, and prescribing details in connection with said district.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve on second reading the ordinance just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Haskins. Council will now listen to public comment. Anybody wish to speak to this second reading? Any discussion from the council? Any amendments? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the ordinance on third reading by title only.
Approving a zone change for Lot 6E 1/2, Block 154, Casper Addition subdivision in the city of Casper, Wyoming.
Chair to entertain a motion to approve and adopt on third reading the ordinance just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Pollock. Council will now listen to public comment. Anybody wish to speak on the third reading? Any discussion from the council? Any amendments? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Council will now consider consent resolutions. Please read the consent resolutions by title only.
Authorizing amendment number 1 to the contract for professional services between the city of Casper and Nelson Nygaard Consulting Associates Incorporated. Accepting a water line easement from TKG Blackmore Marketplace Perm 2 LLC as part of the Blackmore Marketplace Site Development Lot 2 of Blackmore Marketplace Number 13 Edition. Approving amendment number 1 to the memorandum of understanding between the city of Casper and the Natrona County Weed and Pest Control District. Authorizing submission of an application for federal funding through the Transportation Alternatives Program administered by the Wyoming Department of Transportation for the city of Casper for the purposes of the First Street Gateway Park Riverfront Pathway Project. Authorizing a contract for professional services with WWC Engineering for construction administration services for the East 21st Street Improvements Kingsbury Drive to Walsh Drive project. authorizing an agreement between the City of Casper and the Natrona County Conservation District, rescinding and replacing Resolution 25-034 and execution of Amendment Number 1 to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund with the Office of State Lands and Investments for the purpose of the City of Casper North Platte Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation Project, issuing a revocable license agreement with the Town of Evansville for access and underground utility placement, approving the City of Casper Title VI program as required by the Department of Transportation for federal transportation assistance and authorized by the Civil Rights Act of 1964, authorizing an agreement with Double Drop Construction LLC, doing business as JES Services LLC, for the Ford Wyoming Center ADA and Landscaping Improvements Project, authorizing submission of an application to the State Loan and Investment Board for a loan through the State Revolving Fund on behalf of the governing body for the City of Casper to fund the North Platte Sanitary Sewer Interceptor Rehabilitation Phase 2 project, authorizing submission of an application to the State Loan and Investment Board for a loan through the State Revolving Fund on behalf of the governing body for the City of Casper to fund the screw pump replacement and headworks improvement project at the Sam H. Hobbs Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant, authorizing submission of an application to the State Loan and Investment Board for a loan through the State Revolving Fund on behalf of the City of Casper to fund the Reservoir Improvements Project, authorizing adoption of the collective bargaining agreement for July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026 between the City of Casper and the Firefighters Local Union 904, and authorizing Amendment Number 1 to the contract for professional services with R&R Environmental Incorporated for asbestos abatement services for the Casper Business Center Asbestos Abatement Project.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda items just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Bond. Mr. City Manager, do you have any comments on any of these items?
I do not, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any abstentions or nay votes from the council? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the consent minute action title.
Authorizing the appointment of Laura Angelo to the City of Casper Investment Advisory Committee.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action agenda item just read. Moved by Councilor Haskins, seconded by Councilor Sweeney. Any abstentions or nay votes? Okay, please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
At this time, we ask our councilors to bring forward any relevant concerns or items of interest. Let's go ahead and start with Councilor Jensen.
I don't have anything.
It was very dramatic. You were setting us up. Thank you. Councilor Bond.
Let's see. So just the one thing I forgot to say that I just wanted to echo Councilor, I think it was Councilor Gamroth that mentioned about making the survey more prominent. I would echo that. I would agree with that as well on the website. I had a busy week last week and this week, but so I attended the Salvation Army lunch last week. Good turnout and lots of good commitment for important resource for our community for serving our homeless and unhoused individuals. Councilor Sweeney was there as well. Attended the police week, the block party. Great turnout there. Wow, the line for burgers and hot dogs was pretty long, and it was good to see the people going through all the vehicles, and that seems like very exciting for a lot of those kids. Let's see. I did go to, went to Funky Junk Saturday. That was sad, but good turnout at Davis Street. And what was the other? Oh, I attended the senior services meeting yesterday. And not much going on there. Their revenue's down just slightly since over the past year, since last year, but I think their expenditures will match that. They don't seem too alarmed. Zulima, is that fair? Okay. And then today I attended the meeting of the Youth Mental Health Collective, and that group is moving along very nicely. We've divided into some research or some work teams. I'm working on the research team. We had Seth Hollier helped design a website for us, and it's really trucking along. I mean, I think it's going to make things very accessible for the whole community in terms of resources and information. And so as I think I mentioned before, our first priority was to work on this idea of kind of ensuring that there are adequate numbers of third spaces in the community, particularly for youth. And so it's a very interesting body of information there around third spaces. I've learned a lot about just the importance of those. If the first space is home, second space is work, that third space for all of us around those social connections, not social media, but actual person-to-person live interaction with people, with other humans, is important for everyone. And so, unfortunately, social media sometimes replace that, but this would be to create those, and it just helps create a healthier community, healthier individuals. So that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Councilor Larson.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have something tonight. I attended a Regional Water Joint Powers Board meeting with Councilor Sweeney as well as Councilor Pollock. Discussed a couple things. Advanced Casper was there. They were given an update on the radiant energy, where that project stands. They were talking about installing new water and sewer lines construction and tie-in out by where they're going to put their facility. They were asking for the board's support for a $8 million application, which 10% of that would be a 10% match that the board would be voting on. So we kind of, it got a little contentious for a little bit. It kind of went on for a while, but in the end, everybody was okay with voting to write out a letter of support, more or less, for the infrastructure than for the new lines, and leaving out any kind of commitment for a dollar amount. That was kind of the short gist of that. So any other counselors want to add to that, feel free. So then moving on, we talked about approving a loan application to the SLIB board for the primary disinfection improvement project, which is rebuilding the ozone tanks in there for about $20 million. We did vote in favor of that. And then we also discussed some budget revisions for the fiscal year 2026 and discussed water rate increase next year, which will be, I think, voting on the final vote for that will be next month, I believe. So, and that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Councilor Pollock.
Thank you very much. I was in attendance last Wednesday, the meeting with some representatives from City Council and also state legislators and members of staff to provide some insight into the impacts of the property tax policy changes on the city budget. So that meeting was well attended. We had quite solid representation from both groups, and we're able to go over the numbers as we see them and where it puts us, and also our strategies that we've put into place to manage that budget, that revenue decrease. So I appreciate everybody who took the time to attend that. I think probably a lot more conversation to be had in the future, but it was a good start. I also attended the Police Week block party. I think it was, I don't know if it was the biggest, it felt like the biggest ever, but continues to be super well attended by the community. We did cancel our Friday LGBTQ advisory committee meeting due to a number of folks traveling. So we weren't going to have a quorum. So we just we're really just in the last phases of arranging logistics for that group's participation in Casper Pride, which comes up. That'll be June 12th through the 15th. The group has opted, instead of having a booth this year and collecting data, they've opted to help facilitate the Sunday activities, which are a little more, it's the day of the march, and a little more focused on education and advocacy. They want to help educate the community about the non-discrimination ordinance and about the existence of the committee, to let people know that they are welcome to apply to participate in that committee and that sort of thing. So they'll be helping with that side of things. This year it'll be a little bit of a shift from years past, but I'm looking forward to having their input on that day, which for me is one of the most important days of Casper Pride Week. I indeed was at that regional water meeting this afternoon. Just to add a little bit more detail, Matt covered it well, but the probably most notable thing that happened outside of a similar state revolving fund grant application that we approved to be submitted for that $20 million for the primary disinfection improvements was an update from Advanced Casper, really focused on a grant that they are hoping to apply for with the Business Council in the amount of $8 million to deal with water and sanitary sewer line extensions and infrastructure improvements and build in the project area, and sort of opening up, I think they said 600 acres. I don't really know how big an acre is, so that seems about right. But yeah, 600 acres of developable commercial land in Bar None. They didn't have a super specific ask of us, but they have a 10% match for that grant to build those lines. And we're looking for participation from Regional Water, because Regional Water does have some of the system, the regional water system, kind of right up against that project area in question. So this would sort of tie into the regional water lines, and would have some interaction with a water tank that we have there. And so it was suggested that they involve that board. So that was the kind of the proposal, really more focused on the grant for the infrastructure itself rather than the business or the project. Those discussions are still underway throughout the community, but mostly working on a business-ready grant from the Business Council for that area. Unfortunately, the conversation was limited. We were not really able to have much conversation around it, as we had a state representative who was present at the meeting and was really not observing the agenda, public comment times, and inserting a lot of comment into the board's discussion time. So we landed, as Matt said, at a letter of support and stopped short of committing to any dollar amount to help in that 10% match, which is $800,000 total. Advanced Casper is hoping to pull that in from many partners, not just Regional Water. So I don't know where it will go from there. I felt like we didn't really get to have the conversation about, is it appropriate for that group to contribute monetarily? Is a letter of support really kind of the lane that we should be staying in? The discussion was sort of stymied, I think, by the dynamic in the room. And so I'm not sure where that will go, but I'm hoping that we can bring it to a little bit further conversation and discussion where I feel like we can actually ask the questions that need to be asked and come up with a appropriate response from that board that I think attends to scope of that project in a more responsive way. So I don't know if there'll be more to come, or if that's, the grant deadline is quite soon, and so the timeline is not super friendly to kick in the can, but I'm hopeful that maybe there will be a little further conversation so that at least I feel like where we landed was the appropriate place to land for that group. So we'll see if there's more to report on that, or if it just ends with our letter of support coming from that group. I think the county's contributed one of those as well. And as I understand it right now, they do not have the $800,000 for the 10% match where we stand right now. So.
Thank you. Councilor Haskins.
I went to a youth ordinance task force meeting yesterday with Mills and Evansville. Ultimately, the goal is to align our ordinances together so that each town, city matches. Fortunately, Casper's got a pretty robust list of ordinances, and we haven't really come up with anything that looks like I'll be bringing to ask that we create or change any ordinances at this time. Chief Cheney was there this week and was like a police officer, just knew all these things right off the top of his head that we can use. So he gave them some options for, rather than creating new ordinances again for us, perhaps they can just use some of ours in regards to students calling the school and making a bomb threat to get out of a math test or something to that sort that doesn't quite come to a big crime, but maybe just a misdemeanor. So I think they're going to mull those things over. And the only other thing, aside from discussing some ordinance options that, like I said, I don't think I'll be bringing, I did get an interesting little tidbit from the school district. I thought it was Mental Health Month, good time to bring it up. Evidently, in the last school year, they have already made more than 5,700 phone calls regarding mental health issues with students in the school district. Whether or not that led to an action from someone, those numbers are different, and I didn't bring it, but I did think it was noteworthy. 5,700 and some calls already this school year regarding mental health crises in our students.
Thank you. Councilor Sweeney.
So as Councilor Bond mentioned, the Salvation Army was held their event out at the barn. That was first time I had been to that venue. Pretty unique, nice setting, and great program. So I'd like to thank Chief Cheney for all the work on the I'll call it the block party, but on the 14th. But I couldn't believe the attendance was really tremendous, and considering the weather wasn't perfect that night, but appreciate the chief's work and the department's work and all of the participation from the different agencies. That was great to see. So also on the 14th, I had Amico Reuse Joint Powers Board. Got a really good report from the new general manager, Ty. I think he'll do a great job in brings some new energy to the organization. We also approved and worked on the budget at that and a couple of other things, but they are moving along in trying to delve into more profit centers and other things to make it more of a break-even type situation within time. Over the weekend, thankfully, I consider my granddaughter graduated with speech language pathology, and she's already got a job offer from the school district as a speech pathologist. So there's one that's not moving out of state. So, then not related to the city, but kind of, sort of, I'm also on the Fair and Rodeo Board, and we had our budget hearing. We had our board meeting Monday night, and then we were in front of the county commissioners this morning on their budget process and hearing. Today started out with the DCBA, Downtown Casper Business Association. Several events coming up that I would hope one with more knowledge on CNFR I'm sure there's still tickets available, and that's coming right up. The first performance, I think, is Bulls and Bronx on Sunday the 15th, if they still call it that. And a lot of discussion about Crazy Days in July, and hopefully they get their permits in the appropriate time. So, and then regional water, I thought it was decent discussion today. I don't know, and I can't recall if the city of Casper, if we've done a resolution in support of the Radiant project, but I think that would be helpful. I think it'll definitely benefit the whole of Natrona County and the state, but we've got more hurdles to cross, obviously, to get that over the finish line. But I would like to bring that up as far as a possibility down the line. So, yeah, I think that's about it. But there's several events coming up in June that I hope, between the Shrine Bowl and CNFR Lemonade Day. So anyway.
Thank you. Councilor Gamroth.
Thank you, Mayor. Had a Downtown Development Authority board meeting last Wednesday. We passed a proposed budget. We allocated a lot more money for grant funding available to businesses in that jurisdiction to help with things like graffiti abatement, facade improvements, and along those lines to just kind of spur and incentivize economic activity in the area. We received an accepted offer of employment from a new executive director. So I'm guessing that public announcement will come very soon. I don't want to preempt it, but excited to have a new director on board and looking forward to see what they bring to the organization. They were the number 2 choice the last go around. And I've talked to several stakeholders who are really excited about the prospect of having this one in place. So feeling confident about that. At a Casper Housing Authority board meeting last Thursday. We were joined by the former team leaders for the AmeriCorps Conservation Corps program. If you remember, I think I gave an update to council at that time, but funding for this program was cut at the federal level. So I want to thank again the Zimmerman Family Foundation. They stepped in to pay. The Housing Authority was not able to bring them on as volunteers, which was kind of their capacity beforehand. So they had to pay them minimum wage as employees. And so the Zimmerman Family Foundation fronted the cost for that. They're going to help them with the Urban Thistle Farm and Market. We got to hear from all of those individuals about how powerful and experienced this program is for them, and a lot of the other activities and projects they've been a part of throughout the country. It is very rare, I think, to see youth and young adults so passionate and committed to their civil service. I was really impressed with that group of, they're not kids. Some of them are, probably early 20s, but definitely younger. And you just don't get the opportunity to interact with people that are that passionate about community service and, working for their country in that sense. So just really cool to chat with them. Casper Housing Authority will be moving their headquarters to a new building, not a new building, an old building on Overland Trail behind the Ramada. So that'll be happening here in the next several weeks for anybody that uses their services. I'm sure they're doing a lot of messaging to their clients and folks they work with, but very soon their headquarters is going to move. And I had an Old Yellowstone District Committee meeting yesterday. We elected new officers. I will continue on as the chair with some very serious support from Liz Becker in community development. Yep. Quick to throw my name out, that group was, but I appreciate their support. Laura Hunter at R321 will be my vice chair. We discussed a proposal to revise ordinances related to property owner notification in the Old Yellowstone District. This was mostly a result of the public conversation regarding the Yellowstone apartment project. For instance, the replatting of that land of the Wildcatter subdivision, that went through the public process for the Planning and Zoning Commission, but the final designs were not actually available at that time that we had approved that subdivision creation. And so we'll see some proposed amendments to those specific ordinances at a later time. I didn't get the chance to see if it's already on the agenda or not, but we'll get them sometime in the near future, just allowing for more opportunities for citizen, property owner, and stakeholder input. Because I think that was kind of a consensus at the time was, you know, it would have been great to have solicited more public input about that project and make sure we just, not only that project, but just any project. People care a lot about development downtown. So just making sure that they have as many opportunities as possible to give their input and feedback and feel like they're a part of the process. Everyone shared their summer calendars so that we can all cross promote and try to do what we can not to overlap events. Just make sure everyone's playing nice with each other. And our next meeting will likely be another joint activity between the DCBA, Downtown Casper Business Association, the Downtown Development Authority, and the Old Yellowstone District. I'm glad to hear that because I've always hoped for more coordination between all those groups, and I think we're working more and more towards that as time goes on. The Casper Pothole-a-Palooza ended, and so I just wanted to highlight the report. Thank you to Oil City News and maybe some other publishers for mentioning it, but over a 3-week period, 1,839 potholes filled, 143 tons of asphalt, that's 286,000 pounds, and 115 residents reported potholes to us through the app. So thank you to everyone who reported potholes through the app. It allowed our city staff to make a ticket on that and act upon it and kind of build it into their project. The Facebook comments, while maybe satisfying an individual's need to vent, does not help, you know, create a ticket to work into that system to allow those guys to repair those. So I would continually encourage folks to report those through the city app. That's going to be the most efficient and expedient way to get the resolution you're probably looking for. Councillor Larson and Councillor Sweeney and others have mentioned Radiant, not only being a guest at the Central Wyoming Regional Water Board meeting most recently, it sounds like. I know there's a lot of public interest in that project, and so I do want to remind folks that their next town hall is this Thursday, May 22nd, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Bar None Council Chamber. Sounds like the primary topic at the meeting is going to be doing a deep dive on their plans for spent fuel storage. And at least my read on the public conversation is that that's the most controversial aspect of their project. So again, I would just really encourage people, if you care at all, if you have concerns, if you have questions, if you're in support, if you're against this project, I would encourage you to go to this town hall. These are going to be what I consider the best opportunities you have to learn more about their plans, learn more about the technology that they plan on utilizing in their reactors, some of these grant opportunities that they're seeking. This is going to be the best time to get those questions answered or your concerns addressed. And so I would really encourage you to go. There's a lot of education and a lot of information, a lot of great discourse that happens. So again, this Thursday, the 22nd, 6 to 8 at the Bar None Council Chamber. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I want to congratulate all 2025 graduates from all the schools who will be graduating in the next few days and weeks. Thank Amber for talking about the legislator meeting that we had with the legislators. Even though we explained quite well, I think there's still a couple of them that went away with not quite understanding what we were trying to present to them. And on that note, we had breakfast with the Council of Governments, and we discussed with the other mayors and the county commissioners the impacts that the cuts that were made are having on their communities. And like we figured, the smaller communities are getting hit a lot harder than what we are getting hit. So, and I want to echo what Kyle said about the radiant energy. Please educate yourself. There's so much misinformation going around from people that are against it just to be against it. I've loved nuclear energy since I was a little kid, and it has come so far since the 1940s that you need to educate yourselves and find out about it and voice your opinions on it, because it's, my opinion, it's a fantastic project that will bring a lot of good jobs to Natrona County. That's all I've got.
Thank you. I don't have anything tonight other than next week will be our budget session that we'll be meeting. So it'll be a little bit longer meeting. And the only comment I wanted to is this is for the city staff. I appreciate the work that you guys have done and put in, all the department heads, all the finance employees, pretty much everybody putting their time into this effort. It's a big lift, and we're lay people when it comes to it. And so we rely on their expertise. And you guys are top notch and some of the best in the state, if not the region. So we appreciate that. The next meeting of the city council will be a budget work session, as I mentioned, which will be held on the 27th at 4:30, and the regular council meeting to be held at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, the following June 3rd. The council will now entertain a motion to adjourn the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn the regular meeting.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Bond, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Please cast your vote. You could have left it. Yeah, we still would have adjourned. Please record the vote.
With all counselors voting aye, the motion passes.